All right, today we're going to take a look at moon phases by watching this moon phase or lunar phase animation simulation. Okay, so right now, what we're looking at is we have the sun's rays. They're coming from the right-hand side. The moon, as of right now, is between the sun and the earth, and we are here as the viewer. So right now it is nighttime, which is pictured here for us to see that it's dark out. So nighttime, we're facing away from the sun. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at what happens as time goes on. All right, so we can see that the moon is making its way along this path. It is revolving around the earth. For simulation's sake, obviously the sun is going to be coming from this direction the whole time. All right, so we can see that as time continues to pass, Earth continues to rotate. Daytime when that little guy is facing the sun, nighttime when he's facing away. So, some things that I would like to point out. When we are an observer from Earth, we are only ever going to see no more than 50% of the moon. And I'll show you why in a second as it makes its way around. So we can see that the phases continue to change. When the moon was here, it started out in a new moon phase. As it continued on its revolution in this area here, it was a waxing crescent. We would have had right here a first quarter moon. Right now it is in a waxing gibbous phase. The next phase that we are going to see, and I'm going to pause it for you when it gets there. We are going to be looking at the 50% or half of the moon that is lit up, which you can see right here. Okay, so the sun's rays, and again, it says it down here, but the sizes and distances are not to scale. So the sun's rays are going to come around the earth. They're going to bounce off the surface of the moon, and that is what is giving it the light. The moon does not create its own energy. In fact, it's just a rocky body, and instead the light from the sun reflects off of the surface of the moon, and that is why we can see the moon, or that's why it appears to be illuminated in our night sky. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on here. We are going to go through a cycle of phases every 29 and a half days. So you can see here on the calendar that it has taken us, we started on this first day here. So as the moon makes its way around the earth, our calendar days continue to count on. So it takes about a month for our moon phases to go through one full cycle. And that means that the moon starts at new moon, goes all the way around the earth, and then comes back to new moon. Okay, so waxing or waning gibbous. So the observer is next going to see our third quarter moon coming up here. If I can, look at this, I can speed it up. So our waning crescent. So first, let's take a look. We have our third quarter. We're going our waning crescent. Our moon is appearing to get smaller and smaller and smaller until we get back to our new moon phase. Something I'd like to point out here also, at this point, the 50% or the half of the moon that is not illuminated is facing us. So we are not going to technically see the moon at this point because the 50% or the half of the moon that is illuminated by the sun is facing the sun at this point. Okay, another thing I would like to point out is as we continue on this revolution, we have waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, and then we get to our full moon. So something that I like to give as a way to remember how to identify whether or not it is waxing or waning, the moon from this point to this point appears to grow, and that is considered waxing. An easy way to remember that is just the way you would make candles. If you continue to dip your wick into the wax, the candle is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I like to use the example that my mom likes to burn candles, and me as a kid, I like to stick my finger in the wax. The more I would stick my finger in the wax, the bigger the bulb of wax would get on my finger. So think of waxing as growing. Okay, and then waning is just obviously going to be the opposite of that. The moon phases it's going to appear to get smaller. Okay, so as we go into waning gibbous, our last quarter, and then finally our waning crescent, our moon appears to get smaller until it is not seen at all. Okay, I hope this helped. I'm going to put this simulation into the Google slide for you for your viewing pleasure.